Hi, I'm Jeanette Keynes. I'm the author of Soldering Demystified from Jewelry Arts Inc. in New York City, and I'm here to share a few tips and tricks that are going to help you in your soldering. When I'm soldering a bezel to a back sheet, I like to get a really minimal seam. I don't want to do a lot of cleanup, and I like my solder to hopefully stay put. So I usually ball up my solder, I dip it in a little bit of my nice paste flux, put it on the inside. So this is not a really large bezel. I think probably about 3 of these pieces will do the trick. The more you do this, the better you get at predicting how much you need. And if you find when you're soldering that you're getting a whole lot of extra, it's just a good sign you need to cut back a little bit. So I've got my 3 little pieces in there. They're up against the edge of the bezel. It doesn't really matter so much where they are. As long as I have really good contact between the bezel, the back sheet, and the solder, when it gets hot, it's going to draw in and it's going to flow all the way around. So don't get too caught up in worrying about your solder being evenly spaced or anything like that. So my next step after this is I'm just going to put it up on my tripod and solder it. Usually when I solder a bezel to a back sheet, I like to do it from underneath. I know that way that the solder is going to get drawn around the seam and it isn't going to accidentally get pulled up the side. I'm sure you all know solder goes where the most heat is, and if you heat from up high, you run the risk of it running up the bezel instead of running around the seam. I'm going to use my #1 tip. I'm going to turn it up high. This is already dried a little bit, but I'm going to give it a few just gentle little passes so that hopefully my solder stays in place. If it doesn't, I've got my tweezers right here and I'll move it back into place before I actually start to solder. Looks to me like everything else is relatively behaving itself, so I'm going to go right for it. I'm not going to move the flame around. I'm just going to keep it steady on there, and I'm just going to watch the outside of the seam. I don't really need to watch it from the inside because when the solder flows, it's going to do that. When you solder hot and fast, it goes fast and easy.